Hey, welcome back. This week we are diving into part two of pelvic health. And if you guys were with us last week, then we talked about more of the physical side of things, but looking outside of the box and not just assuming that it's a pelvic dysfunction because there's a pelvic diagnosis or a pelvic symptom, and really being able to expand physically, but emotionally and mentally outside of the box of the pelvis. So if you haven't watched part one, jump back, check that out, and then come back to us here. But this is Kelly D, and I'm Dr. B. And we are going to bring to you today an extension of the outside of the box thought process. And that's really getting into the emotional and energetic body and our life experiences and how those experiences really can play a role in our physical function as well as our symptoms and just our life in general. So Kelly D being the expert, if I can call her that, on chakras and really
One of many.
building one of them. She is a woman with a plethora of wisdom and so many avenues that she can drive down. So this just being one of many, we are going to let her talk a little bit about the chakras and how those serve us throughout our lifetime, but especially how they're related to our pelvis and pelvic health and sexuality and all the things. So I'm handing it off.
Hey guys, I'm still in Costa
Oh,
Rica.
rub it in, rub it in.
I really do love this topic because for me, I deal with holding patterns, not only in the physical body, but the mental and the emotional body as well. And I really find that bringing in the chakras, specifically the root chakra and the sacral chakra, these are aspects that we don't often think about, right? But they
Mm-hmm.
truly are an element that does encompass everything. Okay, so for instance, with the root, that has to do with our survival, and it comes right from birth. It's our foundation. It's where we feel protected, where we feel secure, right? So
Mm-hmm.
when we're born, if we don't have that environment where we feel safe, where we feel loved, and we have to kick our bodies automatically into survival mode, that affects our pelvic health right from the get-go,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, there is the sacral chakra, and that has to do with desire, sexuality, one of my favorite topics, of course, and this is why, right? But it also has to do with creativity and who we are as a woman, as a person, as everything. I should let you know that in Costa Rica, we have these beautiful birds called macaws, and they come in pairs. So you will probably hear them coming
I can
very
see them.
shortly,
Mm-hmm. They're
in
like
case you're
flying
wondering what
behind
that
you.
noise is. Yeah, they're quite beautiful.
The island life. You can't hate it.
I know, I know. I'm very grateful for sure, for sure, for sure. So part of the in particular with the sacral chakra, it has to do with our belief systems of who we are, how beautiful we are, how creative we are, what we think emotionally about ourselves first and foremost. Because Dr. B and I are all about empowering ourselves as women, of course, first and foremost, but that it is self-empowerment that we're trying to create here, right? So with in particular with the sacral chakra, our emotions are first, but it also is how we extend those emotions to other people. How much are we going to allow ourselves to be vulnerable? And again, it doesn't mean that we're allowing ourselves to be
Mm-hmm.
hurt,
Mm-hmm.
right? Being vulnerable, because this is a big topic for me and I love it, as Dr. B knows, is that we ourselves can create our own limitations of being vulnerable. That's where our empowerment actually comes from, right?
Mm-hmm.
So creating the vulnerability um, that we are comfortable sharing with other people, whether it's a partner, our friends,
Mm-hmm.
lovers, whatever it is, right? It doesn't matter. It's we create and we are self-empowered to allow the vulnerability that we're comfortable to share with.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Mm-hmm.
really huge in the sacral chakra. And it does get affected at a young age. when we're like teenagers, we're experimenting with sex or with masturbation or whatever it is at the time. And I apologize if I'm offending anybody, but this is a topic that is real, right? It's
Yep,
our body.
it
So we should love ourselves first anyway, as
is.
far as I'm
Preach.
concerned. So anyway, do you have any comments or any what what are your
Oh my
thoughts
gosh. So my wheels are spinning, and I know the answers to some of this, but I feel like our audience probably has questions. If my head is spinning, their heads are probably spinning. You know what I'm saying? And so I think, like, first and foremost would be what the heck is a chakra? Second would
Oh, okay.
be, because they might not know. And then
That's true.
second would be, we talk about it in a systematic, so root, sacral, so kind of in that idea of like what are they, and not necessarily what is each individual one, but what is the system and how does it support us as a human being from birth. And I'm curious because I actually don't know if I know the answer to this. I'm thinking I don't. Is Does this actually start at conception? Because I kind of feel like root starts at conception. So like my experience in utero matters, and that's still
Mm.
part of that like root development, maybe.
Yeah, so it's the energy body, right? That comes in first. So what the chakras are, just on a very simple term, they're energy centers in our body, and that's very, very simple. If you want to know more information, there's tons of information on the web, or welcome to ask me anything. But to keep it simple, I work with nine of them in my practice. So starting with the root chakra all the way to the soul star. But we are specifically working with the sacral and the root chakra today. But because the energy centers are within our soul's energy, right?
Mhm.
This is all part of where we get our um, like our vital force energy from.
Mhm.
So having balanced chakras, having balanced energy centers that affect us right from the tip of our toes all the way up, right,
Mhm. Mhm.
is very important from an energetic point of view because it does affect us spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and from the physical
Mhm.
body as well. So it's all part of the matrix of being human,
I
right?
love that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because it's all connected, right? Everything is connected and everything. If you think of it like, so I always come back to a similar analogy, but this one's specific when I'm talking about the many different bodies we have, right? The many different systems is, so we have an organ system, we have a blood flow system, we have a neural system, we have an energetic system, we have a musculoskeletal system. So we have all these systems. There's more than that, but like we'll just stick with
Yeah.
those for now. And so, within my system,
We'll just keep it easy right now.
we'll keep it simple. But those are like lanes on a highway. So let's say there's 6 lanes on the highway. So each of those systems being a lane, so to speak. If I am a car and I want to drive freely on the highway, in theory, I want all lanes moving. I want all lanes open. If one of them is blocked, there's construction or there's a car accident, and then everybody's trying to file into one and move around. Like congestion, dysfunction, disease, right? And so for me, I look at it in this idea of if I'm the vehicle getting on the highway and there's 6 lanes and we're all driving at least the speed limit, but there's flow, everything is moving, there's function behind that, there's mobility behind that, and that feels good, right? Versus 2 lanes are blocked because of an accident and everybody's trying to funnel into these others, and now there's congestion, there's lack of mobility, there's dysfunction, and that doesn't feel good. And so,
No,
really, those chakras and that biomatrix, the meridians, the dantians, all of those more energetic pieces of things are all one of those lanes, if you will, multiple lanes within a lane in all reality. But we need that flowing as well. It is part of the whole picture, right?
yeah, 100%. I mean, it
Yeah.
has to, right? It has to be because there's so many facets to who we are as a human being,
Yeah.
and there's always that element of like our thought patterns, our behavior, our emotions, and all of that. It's all affecting us every day and every decision
Yeah.
that we
Yeah.
make and every experience that we have. And I mean, good and bad, right? I mean, that's
Right.
reality.
Right.
Like we're
Yep.
human beings, we're going to have both. So how we allow that to affect us in from a physical point of view or energetic, emotional, whatever it is, it affects us, and
Mm-hmm.
it manifests in our bodies as holding patterns, which are
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Dr. B and my specialty.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
happens. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. So just this awareness of, ensuring that, because I think we're all very well aware of our physical outer body, and we obviously are aware when something is dysfunctional or symptomatic and not working correctly, right? You break your arm, you can't use your arm. You're very well aware of the fact you can't use your arm. But I don't think it's too common that we think about the inner systems. So the visceral system, the vascular system, the lymphatic system, the energetic system. And so it isn't until I feel like we really have a lot of congestion or clogging that we start to pay attention, right? Because our body is screaming at us like something needs to be addressed here. And it is going more often than not to express in a physical way, right? Like I have a belly ache, or I can't breathe as well, or I'm short of breath, or I have this like, neural pain down my arm, and my weakness is or I'm not as strong and I'm feeling weak. So we're very well aware of those things. And it's almost like that. At what point do we regularly check in with each of our systems to ensure we have alignment, to ensure there's that therapeutic functionality of each system, or do we wait until things break down? Right.
See, that's the thing, right? Like by the time people come to see us, it's already manifested
Exactly.
in their bodies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there are so many telltales that
Whatever.
people, as I'm not even drinking cerveza yet.
It's still
Um,
like noon there, right? It's
I
it's
know
like
it's
noon
just, yeah, it's
somewhere.
just noon. Another hour and it's cocktail hour.
There you go. There you go.
Um, no, like by the time that our clients come to us, it's already manifested as a holding pattern
Mm-hmm.
in their physical body. But things like loss of appetite, uh, like being in an environment like that's sort of toxic, and we're staying, in a relationship or work or something of that nature that is toxic to us, and we
Right.
feel it. Emotionally, that should
Yeah.
be a first cue. So really checking in, like, okay, I don't feel good in this environment. I don't feel good with that per- person. Like listen to your body. Like that
Mm-hmm.
whole gut thing is a sign for like your soul kind of telling you,
Yeah.
get out of this situation, right? So by the
Mm-hmm.
time it manifests as a holding pattern, we have to backtrack now, right? Even though we're releasing it in the physical body, we got to backtrack right to the energetic body. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it takes time to go through all of these layers, like you've mentioned, right? AKA the 7 layers. Well, that's part of it because
Yeah.
things manifest in our organs, like you said, in our diaphragm, our breathing, in our habits with
Mm-hmm.
ourselves. Do we do yoga? Do we meditate? Do we exercise? Do we
Yep.
go for walks? Do we
Mm-hmm.
take self-care,
Right.
self-love, another
Right.
limit? Right?
Right.
That's all part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it made me just think of this. So I'm going to just it's not a plug, but it's a
That's
plug.
what we do.
Because so the Baral Institute is one of the institutes that I've trained through and studied with and TA'd for. And so there's a book. So it's understanding the messages of your body.
Yeah.
And you can see like I have used this to the nth degree. But if we really get into each of the organs and how the body speaks, so bladder, since we're talking pelvis, I'm going to bring you guys to the bladder for
Yep.
a quick sec. The bladder is the organ of control. And if there's infection, there's burning, there's cramping, there's incontinence, those are all signs that there's something dysfunctional going on. Your body is speaking to you. And if there's an emotional component, it could be one of these things. So I'm just going to read these 5 or 6 things real quick. The organ of education. So that would be something like there's this high standard, high expectation. Maybe it comes from your parents of like, you will get A's or, right? Importance of control, emotional blackmail and guilt. So I actually see this a lot with potty training, and parents don't mean any ill, like ill doing or harmed by this, but it's like, well, if you don't go to the bathroom, mommy's going to be sad, or mommy's going to be mad, or mom, whatever. Right. So there's this like blackmail of like, I need you to tinkle in the potty and then you will make me happy. Right. And it's not like we're coming from a place of blackmail, but it just so happens that the receiving end of that very much could take that as kind of this, because they, at that age, we are people pleasers. We want to make everyone around us happy. We want to be perfect. So we're going to do whatever we can to make mommy happy or daddy happy or whatever that is. And then obedience and submission, and then cyclical shyness. So these are just some of the things that can be triggers for somebody who holds more of the speaking, the bladder speaks, and especially if there's layers, right? Whereas the genitals, so the genital organs, men and women, those are going to be more of, we're going to get into, hold on a second, the need for shelter, right? The need to shelter others, the need to receive and give. So that one's really like, we're circling back now to what Kelly was saying earlier, is this idea of giving and receiving and being vulnerable. Like, I know for certain that giving is so easy. I've learned that from a young age. I love to give because it makes other people happy, which then therefore makes me happy, right? I'm almost like cueing in my happiness based on their reaction when I give. So I give, probably why I'm in healthcare. Let's just be honest, is give, help, heal, fix. But at what point did I learn to actually receive? So it creates this currency, right? I want to be able to give and receive at the same capacity. And I heard this quote, don't remember who it's from, sorry, but it was, you can only give at the level you can receive at. And I was like, whoa, so I'm giving at 100% and I'm receiving at 5%. In theory, then I'm only giving at 5%. That sucks because I've been trying to give at 100% for a very long time, right? So this idea of that give and receive, additionally, fear of being abandoned, fear of not doing well, and of being judged. So these are just some of the things that come up in this book. Emotions around those organ, the pelvic region, if you will. And so,
but you see how the link there is with the chakras, everything that you mentioned, I just talked about. So it's everything is interconnected in every way.
Yes.
Without question, right? In every way.
Mic drop. Boom. Mic drop. We should totally finish part 2 on that.
Okay.
Mic drop. Then. Okay, Kelly just threw a little mic down for you guys.
I did.
But I hope what you're gathering at this point, as we round up part 2 here, and if you've watched part 1, if not, check it out. Go back. It's more on the physical side of things. But it's this idea of there's more. I mean, in short, right?
Yeah, and again, like we're not trying to preach, right? We're just trying to share that because we've both had different experiences based on pelvic health, their lack of in our own lives. So we're really, trying to really emphasize this right now, because I really think with the sign of the times too, that we really need to have that connection. We need to have that stability first within ourselves. So then to our children, our friends, our spouse, family, whatever, to be that way as well, to be secure and stable and aligned with who they are. But it always comes, I would say, within ourselves first. It has to.
Yes. I think I really took that to heart when I became a mom. Right? Because if my cup is not full, I can't pour into his or anybody else's for that matter. But it really hit me when I became a mom, and that was very eye-opening, that idea, right? So important.
It's not selfish.
So important. No, it's needed. It's absolutely a must. So anyway, all right, we're gonna leave you guys here, part 2. We love that you're here. Thank you so much for being here. We love you guys, and we'll see you next week for part 3 of Pelvic Health. Mwah.